Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, Life as Liz. Today we are going to be talking about the time that I got a tattoo at 14 years old. Yes, I was wild. But before we get into it, make sure that you go like, subscribe, and comment below. Also make sure that you turn on your notifications. That way anytime I post something new, you can be the first to know about it. Okay, so the story begins. I was a sophomore in high school and I was 14 years old and I was determined to get a tattoo. And I did. So I've always been obsessed with tattoos. I would buy like the little fake tattoos that you would put like on your skin, and I would just keep them on for as long as possible. Beg my mom like, please don't wash them off. So it was definitely inevitable that I would end up with some sort of tattoos on my body at some point. Before we get into the story, if you're going to lie, which you shouldn't, but if you are going to lie, you need to check with your alibi. If you're gonna lie, check with your alibi, because if you don't, you could end up in the situation that I was in. I knew a guy that would do tattoos on underage people, and I was like, okay, well, let me get his information. Like, I really want to go ahead and get my first tattoo. And I hit the guy up. He was like, yeah, I can definitely do that. So he was supposed to tattoo me on a day. It was like a weekday, but I was gonna be off from school. And I was like, all right, that works for me. The day comes and he was like, hey, I'm so sorry. Like, I'm not gonna be able to like do your tattoo today, but I can definitely do it like tomorrow or something. So the next day comes, he picks me up, and what I told my parents was that I was going by my best friend's house and that we were just gonna be hanging out there. The guy is bringing me into his apartment and he tells me that I can lay down on the coffee table, and I'm like, okay, cool. Like, coffee table, no big deal. It's not sterilized. I don't even know if he used clean needles at the time, you guys. Like, this was really, really long time ago. And I was like, okay. So he asked me what I want, and I tell him I want a fleur-de-lis on each one of my hips. I thought that I was gonna be a hot girl, but it really ended up being like a not girl moment instead of a hot girl moment. So boom, he's doing the tattoo and he's still working on one of them. Mind you, he didn't use a stencil, he didn't like trace anything, didn't draw anything on me. He literally just starts tattooing on me, and he's tattooing, he's shading, he's doing all these things, and I'm like, man, okay. I'm looking at the time, I'm like, man, like, I really should get home. And it's like 5 o'clock, so my dad starts to call me. But of course, because I'm not where I'm supposed to be, number one, but there's music playing in the background, the tattoo needle is going, I'm like, if I answer the phone, he's gonna know that something is wrong. So finally I answer and I'm like, hey, you know, I'm gonna be coming home soon. And he's like, okay, well, just, you know, get here as soon as possible. I tell the guy, like, look, just wrap this up. He's like, all right. He wraps it up. So I only have one fleur-de-lis, you guys, but he wraps up the tattoo and he goes to bring me home. Now, when I get home, both of my parents are outside. I literally didn't even know what to do. I was so scared. I was like, and I'm like, okay, actually, can you bring me to my friend's house? So he's like, yeah, sure. Like, where's your friend at? And I'm like, she lives like 2 minutes away from here. He's like, yeah, sure, no problem. So he brings me to my friend's house, and I'm calling my friend, the one who I'm supposed to be by. And she answers and she's like, hey girl, what's up? And I was like, are you home? And she was like, no, like, I'm at lunch with my dad. And I was just like, okay. I asked him to bring me to another friend's house who lives in that same neighborhood, and thankfully she was able to bring me home. And I think that I made it. My dad's like, hey, where have you been? And I'm like, and I literally just start spewing out these lies, and I'm like, I'm like gaslighting to the fullest. Like, if anybody's met my dad, like, he's just so sweet and so nice, and he's just like, it's okay, like, we're so sorry, we're gonna try to do better, like, we're just really, you know, we want to protect you, we want you to be safe. And I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. And he's like, okay, we'll go upstairs, like, relax. And I'm like, okay. So I'm thinking that I got away with it, you guys. I'm like, yes, about to be, you know, cute for the summer, my little swimming suit, my little tattoo showing. I had planned on going back and get the other one too at this point, because I was like, okay, like, I'm good. I was in fact not good. Okay, I was in fact not good at all. But you have to come back for part 2 to hear about what happened next. And believe me, you're not gonna want to miss it because the police get involved, okay?